in education, we like to say that we are preparing for students for jobs that don't yet exist. So I brought the set along, and they sat in Jamul Anwar, and they built it over there. I always say good education makes good business. It's not the other way around. And listening to Moula's bayan is very educative in terms of business. It's like an MBA in 10 days.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ahlan wa sahla, a podcast series, the Bottomline Equation, 22nd episode ઉપર. અને આજના આપણા પોડકાસ્ટના ગેસ્ટ છે મુલ્લા હુઝૈફા ભાઈ શાકિર ફ્રોમ ડક લર્નિંગ, વિટ્સ અ કંપની બેઝડ ઇન સિંગાપોર એન્ડ ઇન્ડિયા. આજના પોડકાસ્ટમાં આપણે મુલ્લા હુઝૈફાભાઈથી સમજશું કે કેવી રીતને આપી આ બિઝનેસને ફાઉન્ડ કીધું, કેવી રીતને આ બિઝનેસને સ્કેલ કીધું, ડાયવર્સિફાઈ કીધું, અને એ પ્રોસેસના અંદર એને કયા ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટીઝ આવ્યા, કયા challenges face કીધા. He'll share with us some of the biggest projects he has worked on. He'll share some of the challenges એને જે આ જર્નીમાં આવ્યા, અને he'll also share that કોઈને હવે આગળ બિઝનેસ આ એરિયામાં ડેવલપ કરવું હોય તો કેવી રીતે કરી શકે છે. સો વિદાઉટ ફર્ધર અડુ, લેટ્સ હિયર ફ્રોમ ધ હોર્સેસ માઉથ ઇટસેલ્ફ એન્ડ ડાઇવ રાઇટ ઇન ધ પોડકાસ્ટ. એન્ડ જે મેં હંમેશા કહું છું, આઈ રિક્વેસ્ટ યુ ટુ વોચ ઇટ ટિલ ધ એન્ડ. થેન્ક યુ. ahlan wa sahla, મુલ્લા હુઝૈફાભાઈ. વેલકમ ટુ ધ બોટમલાઇન ઇક્વેશન પોડકાસ્ટ. અવ્વલન શુક્રન કે આપ એ ટાઈમ નિકાલ્યો પોડકાસ્ટ વાસ્તે, ને એમ શ્યોર કે આ પોડકાસ્ટ મને ઘણી મજા આવશે, ગેસ્ટને અને ઘણી ઇન્સાઇટ્સ મળશે આપના કોન્વર્ઝેશન્સ સાથે.
Shukran. Thank you for having me.
ઇટ્સ અ પ્લેઝર. સો આપણે જમ્પ ઇન કરીએ સ્ટેટ હવે પોડકાસ્ટના અંદર. હવે પહેલો સવાલ કે ડક લર્નિંગ, ધ નેમ ઓફ યોર ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશન, શું કરો છો આપ?
તો ડક લર્નિંગમાં આપણે એક પૂરો સ્ટેમ એજ્યુકેશન સોલ્યુશન્સ આપીએ છીએ એજ્યુકેશનલ ઇન્સ્ટિટ્યુશન્સને. સ્ટેમ એટલે સાયન્સ, ટેકનોલોજી, એન્જિનિયરિંગ એન્ડ મેથેમેટિક્સ. તો એમાં નોર્મલ સાયન્સ જે કરિક્યુલમ છે, મેથેમેટિક્સ છે, એના સાથે રોબોટિક્સ, 3D પ્રિન્ટિંગ, કોડિંગ, AI ને એ સગલું બી સાથે આવે છે, તાકે ફરજંદો હવે એક સાથે સાઇલોઝમાં એ લોકો ના બને, પણ એક સાથે જુમલતન બને, તાકે એના જે કનેક્શન્સ છે એ લોકોને અહેસાસ થાય.
ઓકે ઓકે. એન્ડ બિફોર આપણે બિઝનેસના બેકગ્રાઉન્ડ પર જઈએ તો આપને થોડું પ્રોફાઇલ કરીએ ફોર ઓડિયન્સ કે એઝ એન એજ્યુકેશનલ બેકગ્રાઉન્ડ આપે શું કીધું બિફોર આપે આ બિઝનેસ સ્ટાર્ટ કરી?
તો મમલુકે સૈયદના એ યુનિવર્સિટીનું એજ્યુકેશન નેશનલ યુનિવર્સિટી ઓફ સિંગાપોરમાં લીધું છે. એમાં મેં બેચલર્સ ઓફ સાયન્સ ઇન મોલેક્યુલર એન્ડ સેલ્યુલર બાયોલોજી કીધું. ને તે બાદ મને અમેરિકા જવું હતું શીખવાને, માસ્ટર્સ ઓફ એજ્યુકેશન કરવાને. મગર જ્યારે મેં રજા લીધી તો અલમરહૂમ સૈયદી કાસિમભાઈ સાહેબ હકીમુદ્દીને એમ ફરમાયું કે જામિયા આવીને જામિયામાં તદરીસની ખિદમત કરો, કે ઇંગ્લિશ અને બાયોલોજી પઢાવો. તો મેં એમાં ઇંગ્લિશ અને બાયોલોજી પઢાયું જામિયાતુ સૈફિયામાં. અને તે બાદ પાછો સિંગાપોર આવીને પછી થોડું રિલીફ ટીચિંગ કીધું. અને પછી મને એમ હતું કે ચલો આપણે જોઈએ કે શું છે, યા તો ટીચિંગમાં જાઓ યા તો આ કરું. તો લેગો એજ્યુકેશનથી ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટી આવી, ને પછી એક બિલ્ટઅપ થયા કરું.
ગોડ. સો હવે બિઝનેસનું બેકગ્રાઉન્ડ સમજીએ કે કહા સો ટુ સેટ કોન્ટેક્સ્ટ that this is a business you have started from scratch. You did not have any precursor to duck learning. It's a company founded by yourself.
Yes, that's right.
So Kivare, in which year did it all start? How did it start? Is થોડું context share કરીએ.
તો મને યુથના મેન્ટરશિપમાં ઓલવેઝ ઇન્ટરેસ્ટ હતો જ. અને જીવારે મેં મારું નેશનલ સર્વિસ પૂરું કીધું. ત્યાં જ્યારે આપણે 18 વર્ષના થઈએ છીએ તો સગલા દીકરાઓને નેશનલ સર્વિસમાં જવાનું હોય છે. તો મેં સિંગાપોર સિવિલ ડિફેન્સ ફોર્સમાં હતો. અને તે વખત એ લોકોએ એક કડેટ કોર્સ શરૂ કીધું સ્કૂલ્સમાં. તો એના પછી મેં વોલન્ટિયર બન્યો એ કડેટ કોરમાં, અને એમાં પછી યુથ મેન્ટોરશિપના ઘણા ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટીઝ મને મળ્યા, લીડરશિપ ડેવલપમેન્ટ ને સ્ટુડન્ટ ડેવલપમેન્ટમાં. અને એ કરતાં મામલો શહેરના ને થોડું એક્સપિરિયન્સ બી મળ્યું કે સ્ટુડન્ટ્સ કેમ શીખે છે, એ લોકો કેમ નોલેજને ઇન્ટરનલાઇઝ કરે છે. તો મેં પોતે આ ફર્મ 2007માં શરૂ કીધી, જ્યાં મેં તિવારે યુનિવર્સિટીમાં હતો. તો યુનિવર્સિટીમાં મેં એમ જોક કરું છું કે મેં પાર્ટ ટાઈમ સ્ટડી કરતો અને ફૂલ ટાઈમ આ બધું કરી રહ્યો હતો. પણ યુનિવર્સિટીમાં પછી થોડા પ્રોજેક્ટ્સ લેતો હતો સ્કૂલ્સથી, નાના પ્રોજેક્ટ્સ, એ લોકોનું કેમ્પ્સ કરવાને, વર્કશોપ્સ કરવાને, સ્ટડી વર્કશોપ્સને એ સગનું. ને one thing led to another. પછી અલજામિયાતુ સેફિયામાં તદરીસની ખિદમત નસીબ થઈ, પાછો આવ્યો, આ લેગો એજ્યુકેશનની ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટી આવી, એક કોઈ કોન્ટેક્ટથી આવ્યું હતું, ને પછી તિવારે આખું બિઝનેસ જસ્ટ રોલ્ડ ઇન ટુ વન.
બરાબર. સો આપે કીધું કે મોલિક્યુલર બાયોલોજી ઇઝ વોટ યુ સ્ટડીડ. had no background in entrepreneurship either by formal education or by informal education because आप directly अपना कॉलेज પછી જ યા કોલેજના દરમિયાન જ આપણે સ્ટાર્ટ કીધું આ પોસ્ટ એન્ડ લર્નિંગ ને સર. સો કેવી રીતને પછી આપે આ લેગો જે એજ્યુકેશનલ વિંગની ડિસ્ટ્રીબ્યુટરશિપની આ જે ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટી હતી, આપે કેવી રીતને એને આઈડેન્ટિફાઈ કીધી થ્રુ આ કનેક્ટ, બટ પછી એને કન્વર્ટ કેમ કીધી?
વેલ ડેફિનેટલી એક લેગો એજ્યુકેશન જે લેગો ગ્રુપનો એક હિસ્સો છે, એનું જે રેપ્યુટેશન છે, બ્રેન્ડિંગ છે, માર્કેટિંગ છે, અને બેસિકલી એનું બિઝનેસ મશીનરી તો એનું ઘણું જ મોટું છે. એન્ડ એટ ફર્સ્ટ આમ ઘણું ડોન્ટિંગ લાગે કે લોકો સાથે કેવી રીતે બિઝનેસને બધું કરીએ. મગર પહેલાં તો હુઝુર આલા તબલા શરીફ ફરમાવે છે કે દાઉદી બોરાના ખૂનમાં તો બિઝનેસ જ છે. અને મમલુકે શહેરના ઘણા મેન્ટોર્સ બી હતા આ એરિયામાં. તો મારા અમ્મી પોતે એક પ્રેસિડન્ટ છે સ્કોલેસ્ટિક એજ્યુકેશનના, જે એક ઇન્ટરનેશનલ એજ્યુકેશન કંપની છે. મારા અબ્બા બી પોતાનું બિઝનેસ રન કરતા હતા. અને ઓફકોર્સ જ્યારે આ લેગો એજ્યુકેશનની ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટી આવી તે જ વખત મારી શાદી બી થઈ હતી. તો ઓબ્વિયસલી આઈ હેડ અ લોટ ઓફ સપોર્ટ ફ્રોમ માય વાઇફ. અને જ્યારે મેં શરૂ કીધું તો I hope you don't cut that out. No, but obviously family support is very important because in any startup I think there are many challenges, and there's nothing like having the support of those closest to you to be able to overcome these challenges in life. Ne પછી I also at that time through contact had hired someone who was quite experienced in marketing and branding. તો એને થોડું gap year લેવું હતું. તો I was able to get away by paying her a small allowance, and she would come for 4 half days a week, and I would be able to really get a lot of advice from her full time. So and also the Lego company itself is very nurturing, and I would say that it has very ethical business practices. In fact, अपना सी अखो एक डॉक्यूमेंट साइन करावे कि अपने कोई भी चीज़ में चाइल्ड लेबर अपने इस्तेमाल नहीं करिए, अपने जे भी पेपर्स ने બધું इस्तेमाल करिए तो ये सस्टेनेबल सोर्स में सी आवू જોઈએ. So I think with that ethos, they were also very kind to their distributors, and I've been very blessed to work with along the journey a lot of a lot of counterparts in Lego education who were very open to sharing their experience and helping us grow.
Yeah. कोई भी business में challenges वही थे, right? So from forming to scaling ma, क्या kind of challenges you guys encounter?
Well, firstly, I think when we call ourselves CEOs, it's sometimes it gets a little misleading. It really doesn't stand for Chief Executive Officer. It just stands for Chief Everything Officer. Because when you are the owner and the salesperson and the marketing person and the office cleaner, then you end up doing everything on your own. And I think that that's quite challenging because you have to decide where your time needs to be spent to benefit the company the most. And of course, I think that nowadays many people, outside believe, oh, I'll just make an app and then I'll make millions of dollars after that. But it's not that easy. ને આપને ખબર છે મોલા વારંવાર ફરમાવે છે કે overnight millionaire બનવા ના જાઓ because a lot of hard work is required. So in that sense, I think that is been one of the main challenges. I think secondly is about as a startup and even now, I think in any business, cash flow is always very important. I have to say personally, I'm a big picture kind of person. I'm not a very detailed oriented person. So I always have to make sure that I have someone who does that, look at all the details, because I can get quite carried away with new products and everything, and I would like to invest in a lot of things and then find out, oops, the pot is empty. And now we have to figure out how to sell the stock that we currently have. So I think that's important to keep a close eye on the balance sheets.
Yeah. So હવે જ્યારે આપે સ્ટાર્ટ કીધું या બિઝનેસ या આપે કીધું કે આપના પપ્પા ઓલરેડી या ટિમ્બરના બિઝનેસમાં હતા બિફોર we started, right? Yeah, आप शेयर करता. So question comes to mind that, and I think he was a second gen entrepreneur in that timber business. So it would have been very easy for you to get into that business and then continue the legacy forward. So then why such a contrasting business choice?
I think mainly because my father, he recognized that this way of doing business, where Singapore was at that time a very strong middleman between Borneo, Indonesia, and Peninsular Malaysia, where a lot of the timber used to come from, still comes from, and Singapore at that time was the middleman, and they would then sell it to other parts of the world, especially to the Middle East and many of the fast developing nations. But with of course with better communication, better travel, where people could fly directly to the supplier, and now of course when you just have video calling so easy, with a WhatsApp call or whatever, the middleman is not required anymore, right? So unless you own a sawmill or a piece of forest or something like that, this the middleman business is not going to be very lucrative. So I think he saw the wisdom in going into something else, and I think that's important as well, to understand market trends and how businesses change.
Good. હવે in terms of your larger optics of business, હમણાં currently આપનું team size કેટલું છે?
Hamna, in Singapore itself, I have 10 full-time staff and around 100 part-time staff who do training. And in India, I have another 5 employees.
અને હવે अब यहाँ પણ ઓપરેટ કરી રહ્યા છો, ઇન્ડિયામાં ઓપરેટ કરી રહ્યા છો, બંને જગાના વેલ્યુ સિસ્ટમ્સ અલગ છે, કલ્ચર અલગ છે. તો સો અક્રોસ ધ બોર્ડ કેવી રીતને સેમ એનર્જીસ ફ્લો કરે છે, બિકોઝ નોટ નેસેસરી જે આપની એનર્જીસ છે એ આપના યહાના ટીમમાં ટ્રાન્સલેટ થાય, યહાની ટીમની એનર્જીસ ઇન્ડિયન ટીમમાં ટ્રાન્સલેટ થાય, બિકોઝ ultimately you are all representing that learning, and that's where I think a lot of startups today struggle, because the founder can have different sets of energies. He can be 6 a.m. working at the airport lounge and working, but not necessarily that happens with the team members. So how do you tackle that?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And when you are the owner and the founder of a business, it's very different from when you're working for one, right? When you are the founder, when you're the owner, it's your baby, so you'll take care of it any time of the day, any time of the night. Whereas we know, especially after COVID, work from home, strictly working from 9 to 5, and all of that has become quite a demand among employees. So I think number one, it is to align and make sure that everyone understands what the objectives are. And there's one thing that my mom told me, that if you take care of what's important to your employees, then your employees will take care of what's important to your business. And I understand that a lot of my employees, they are parents. So spending time with their children or being available to their kids when they need them is important to them. So I'm very flexible with things like medical leave, especially when your kids are sick, and or if they have an exam or something like that, as long as you are able to accomplish your work, right? So I think that way they value being in your company over very high pays or whatever other MNCs can offer. And I think the other thing is also making sure that everyone is aligned towards the same goal. I always say good education makes good business. It's not the other way around. If you can provide the best education to your customer, and the way that we gauge that is, if my child was at the receiving end of this, would I still go forward with it? And if the answer is yes, then of course you're doing the right thing, right? So that's the same question that I ask all of my employees. If your child was at the receiving end of this, would you still go forward with it? If no, then we are not doing the right thing. If yes, please go forward. So I think that grounds us, and everyone is aligned towards the same goal. And I think at the end of the day, whether it's India or whether it's Singapore, our value system as Muminin is always the same, and that is the value system which is taught to us by Moula. Going for Asharah Mubarakah and listening to Moula's bayan is very educative in terms of business. It's like an MBA in 10 days because every day you will definitely hear something in Moula's Waz Mubarak that will enlighten you, especially in how you conduct your business. And sometimes you'll be left in thought and be like, wow, why didn't I think of this earlier? It's amazing. So I think that's the value system that we want to perpetuate throughout.
And since you brought up Asharah Mubarakah, you have 100% closed during Asharah?
Oh, definitely. So during Asharah Mubarakah, we tell all our clients that that don't expect any deliveries. We won't be accessible by email. I have an email responder that's on. The office is closed, and nothing at all happens.
Yeah, India ma, okay, possibly religious sentiments are higher, but in market like Singapore, app manage major issue.
Yes, definitely. And in fact, I have been very blessed to be doing khidmat in Asharah Mubarakah for the last 20 years in the fire safety department. So many times I have to leave much earlier than Asharah Mubarakah. So investing these 3 to 4 weeks in khidmat is definitely beneficial for the business as a whole, because the barakat is always overflowing, you know. And whatever tiny amount we give, Mola gives us millions of multiples of it, you know. So there's no question about it. But I think that as long as you are able to communicate that this is something that's important to me, and it's not just saying, okay, I'm sorry, I'm closed, I can't do anything for you, but we have to prepare for it. That's what obat is, right? Preparation. So at least a month before we start, I tell the sales team, especially who are the account managers, that, you know, please figure out whatever needs to be done. So if these people, if these clients need anything within the 10 days, it's given to them way before Asharah starts.
So about barakat ની વાત કીધી. So that હવે આ કોન્વર્ઝેશનને થોડું કલ્ચરલ ઓપ્ટિક્સથી જોઈએ એમને. અને I can see the Lego blocks in front of me. So it's tempting me to ask this question that is not too long ago अपना मोलाए इरशाद તમે કે kids should be off devices ને પછી એના પછી જે આખું લેગોના ઉપર એક ઇન્સિડન્ટ થયા એક બાબા એ પી મેરન પણ બસ અને you happen to be in a near similar or similar line of business. So how do you take that as a reflection towards your business?
I mean, at the time when Mola did the zikr, of course my joy knew no bounds, because when Mola recommends this to children, then of course you feel a great sense of a validation for the work that one has been doing throughout all of these years, and you know that you're on the right track. And I think that the Mola also recognizes that these are the skills that children need, and they are being deprived of when they are constantly on a mobile device, which with apps that are designed to, you know, keep your attention. And we know that there are countries that are banning social media for kids that are below 15 years old. So it's like the whole world has listened to Mola's Irshad Munir and starting to take action on it. Interestingly, at the same time, even in Singapore, there was a big debate, because after COVID, every child from secondary school onwards was given a personal learning device, and thinking that, oh, we want to make everyone more independent learners. But it was found that actually it became a distraction for many students in Singapore. So now there's a whole thing about limiting the number of hours that children here in the best education system in the world are exposed to the same devices that was once meant to be the great equalizer. But what Mola tells us is that the great equalizer is offering these playful learning opportunities to children. You know, Einstein once said that play is the highest form of research. So, I mean, who better to be telling our kids than Mola himself that, you know, this is what you need to be doing. And we're realizing, I mean, every day we see examples of the danger of skipping these skills.
અને કઈ એવા ઇન્સિડન્ટ્સ આપના બિઝનેસ રિલેટેડ if you can share with the audience as well, that you had a chance of doing some Araz work in Hazapalia and I got another towards your incidents regarding your business?
Definitely, and I've been blessed with the opportunity to do it many times. I remember once giving Burhanuddin Moula's the last Asharah Mubarakah before Moula's wafat. We did the ziyarat of Ali Qadar Moula just right after Asharah, and we had in Bombay, right after Asharah. The Asharah Mubarakah was in Bombay, and I had done a res of a whole bowl of bricks just to show, okay, we are doing this business. And Moula himself put his hand in the bricks, picked it up, and before we could arrest anything, Moula said, "Ke jo a bachao am jori ne rame છે એના સાથે આમ કે ઘણું અચ્છું છે." So we didn't need to say anything further, you know. And then there was 1 year where we had the good fortune of having the Qadam Mubarak of Aka Moula Tawalla Umrul Sharif in our office in Bombay, which is in Navi Bombay in Kalamboli. I remember it was the night of Gadire Khum, and Moula was on his way to Bombay from Khandala for Gadire Khum the next day. And Moula Tashrif Laya Sagla સેટ્સના ઉપર નજર ફરમાવી, પૂછવું કે શું છે, કેમ ફરઝંદો કેમ એનાથી ફાયદો લઈ શકે છે ને સગલું. And then when of course Moula came to Singapore in 2018, we had the Azim Sharaf of Moula's Qadam Mubarak in our office here. And again we did the res of everything. Moula although later you see the video is only 5 minutes, but time stops when you are with Moula at that time. It feels like it's an eternity. And Moula went through everything, asked questions about all the different robotic sets, Lego sets, everything that we were selling. How do we work with schools? And of course we presented a brick for Moula to put on our Lego tower inside the office as well. Then we started thinking about how children relate to Lego, and we realized that a lot of the sets out there currently are based on many of the exciting sets are based on maybe movies or TV shows or things from Western media. And also many of the buildings that are depicted are also Western. Maybe the only building that's not is the Taj Mahal. So we thought that, children are so connected to the Lego sets that they play with. Why not we come up with building brick sets that allow children to understand our history, our culture from a very young age. And that's how my wife and I, we came up with a brand called Hayya Bina, which in Arabic means let's build. And we started off with Al Jamiul Anwar, which is of course very closely associated with Burhanuddin Moula and Mufaddal Moula because of their khidmat in renewing the whole masjid. So we built it. I had the opportunity in Jamadil Ukhra last year to Araz it to Moula. Moula gave Raza Mubarak, and after that, just so happened that a few months later during Zikra, Moula mentioned Lego, and so many people had come forward to purchase the set, and then they would build the set and do Araz to Aka Moula, and we got so much feedback from parents that I was going to miss her, so I brought the set along, and the set in Jamiul Anwar, and they built it over there. Of course, I mean, one thing is a set that we are selling, but to hear the impact that it has on everyone, it's absolutely amazing. That we were able to play our very, very small, minute part in helping children understand the shan of Sayyidina Muhammad Burhanuddin and Sayyidina Mufaddal Saifuddin Aka, especially with all the mujizat in Al Jamiul Anwar. And recently we came up with this set called the Ya Hussein set, where kids can build it in the Kufi khat. So basically,
And how do you retain this?
sorry.
Out of curiosity, how do you retain?
So we have distributors, and of course we mostly spread it by word of mouth over Instagram. We have a very flourishing community on Instagram. So, and we get a lot of feedback from there. Then we also act on that feedback as well. Yeah.
હવે આપે એમ શેર કર્યું કે જે વખતે you started this venture and then you આપે opportunity grab કીધી સગલું streamline કીધું and then there was a point of time કે જ્યાં પર જે management team હતી operating team હતી જે used to work with you, it changed. And like the question is more around the lines કે કોઈ બી business established હોય startup કોઈ dynamic change થાય છે. So it's the ability of the founder, the entrepreneur, that how do you sort of bounce back and turn the ship around and manage it. તો આપના કેસમાં આપે આ changes one or many શું mindset से handle કીધા?
I think પહેલાં તો જે આપણા ફંડામેન્ટલ્સ છે એ સ્ટ્રોંગ હોવા જોઈએ ને જે બિનાના ઉપર આખી બિઝનેસ બની છે એ એનાથી આપણે હટવું ના જોઈએ કેમ કે that is the reason that you were selected in the first place or you became successful in the first place. Ne, we shouldn't be in a position where we keep changing who we are or changing the way we do business or the way we interact with customers.
I think that is one of the things I see often in my limited experience of observing people, talking to people, what doing business, that one thing is not working, let me just change the way I do it, and I'm not very ready to give it more than a few days, let alone few weeks, to be able to try things out. And then I change from one side hustle to another side hustle, one side gig to another side gig, and એ શું કામ એટલું પ્રેવલન્ટ છે ઇન જે આપે કીધું કે having focus and create in one thing you're doing and sticking to it will actually pay off.
Yes, definitely. I mean, a rolling stone gathers no moss, right?
Right.
So it's important that once you decide on a course of action, to have faith in it and to go on with it, because at the end of the day, the business is a reflection of you, and you know what works. People may have a lot of opinions, and sometimes their opinions may be true. It's not to say that we shouldn't take advice, but also context is king. You know your business well in your context. That's why you were chosen as a distributor, or that's why you were given a certain contract, or that's why your clients trust you. So at the end of the day, your responsibility is to your client. So you need to make sure that we are still providing the client what they need. So, people may change, representatives of companies may change, circumstances may change. COVID caused all the schools to shut down overnight. But at the end of the day, if you're committed to your fundamentals, to your values, that I want to make sure I provide you the kind of education that I would provide my own kids, then you will find a way to provide it. You will find a way to come up with something that works during any challenge.
બરાબર.
Yeah.
સો હવે ઘણા લોકો આ બિઝનેસ ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટીઝ ઢૂંઢતા હોય છે, ઘણા લોકો બિઝનેસ ડાયવર્સિફિકેશનની બધી વાત કરતા હોય છે ને હવે જે બિઝનેસમાં આવશો ઇટ્સ નોટ અ વેરી common line of business to be in. One is the whole an education, and then પછી જે હવે આપ the product side of it કરી રહ્યા છો, etc., which is again tied back to the same cause of learning and education. So આપની શું advice હશે upcoming entrepreneurs ને in such an area, or rather let me rephrase it, that આપની શું advice હશે entrepreneurs વાસ્તે જે હવે business opportunities scout કરી રહ્યા છે, and instead of choosing a very conventional chopped out path, going for a more unconventional route?
Firstly, don't try to copy others. there may be businesses that work and everything, but Moula bhi farmaya che ke cutthroat competition is not the way to go. Providing a lower price or something faster or something like that. Find what is the pain point that is currently being experienced by your target group, and understand what their needs are. You will probably find you will definitely find uh, uh, a place for yourself in it, a service that you can provide or a product that you can provide to bridge that gap or to solve their pain. So, if you adopt a blue ocean strategy going into areas which have not been dealt with before, not necessarily geographically, but also within a certain industry, then I think you will find lots of opportunities for yourself to establish yourself in a brand new area and really take full advantage of it. And technology is always something that's evolving, right? In education, we like to say that we are preparing for students for jobs that don't yet exist, right? Who would have thought 20 years ago that developing apps would be lucrative? Nobody even knew what apps were. So, um, ensure that you're up to date with what's happening, so you can take less conventional routes to fulfill your customers' needs.
अबे आपने पास से there was no structured जे बात है no formal business education, no structured path to operate on. Okay, idea part may be sorted. You had some directions, but then business wise, can you business under finance no function che, start operations no function che, HR no function che, kind of other function che, marketing, branding, etc. etc. And जीवार आप स्केलिंग ना स्टेज पर छो एज अ entrepreneur आप आ सगला फंक्शन साथी पण डील करी રહ્યા છો. So again, what would your advice be to the upcoming entrepreneurs who are just either shifting gears from service to business या हमना just formal education खत्म की दूँ છે અને હવે બિઝનેસમાં આવવા માંગીએ છીએ, તો કેવી રીતને આ સગલી ચીજો સાથે ડીલ કરે? બિકોઝ ચલો આપણે વાત કરી બ્લુ ઓશન સ્ટ્રેટેજી વિલ ટેલ મી એન ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટી વિચ ઇઝ નોટ દેર. That part is sorted. I went from it from a very theoretical standpoint, but again, nothing tells me or prepares me out there to run a business unless I actually start on day zero. So how does one go about?
I think planning is half the battle. Tadbir nisful ish. So if you need to sit down, you need to plan, you need to figure out where you're going to spend your money, what you're going to spend your money for, and most importantly, listen to others. At this stage, people who have done the journey before, elders in the community who have been running businesses. I think Tijarat Rabiha is doing a fantastic job providing that kind of mentorship for lots of mu'minin who are starting businesses. And of course, take Raza or Waka Mola. There's nothing like it. You don't need an MBA to start a business, but with all of this knowledge within the community, and you can even get ideas from people outside the community. I had one of my best friends who was MBA from Harvard, so awesome. I might be approaching you soon then. I will just be going to him for a free consultation, just for a price of a free lunch or a coffee many times. So I think that's important. Some things you figure out along the way. Some are very painful lessons to learn, but the painful lessons are the ones that you remember for life. Right?
And they map that it is also important to have mentors. You can find a mentor in your father, your mother, your grandfather, someone outside. But I think as an entrepreneur, you've got to have a sounding board to get some level of external validation. Because, and more than often, I've seen this in my limited experience, of course, that since your idea is your baby, I think you always fancy that. That okay, no matter how wrong you might be actually going, but you find it that okay, no, it's still in the right direction. So having a sounding board, I mean, there could be one mentor, and then there has to be always a sounding board is what I think is also important for an entrepreneur to have. And I remember in our journey, business journey, my partner, he had a guide who he saved his number as an idea board, something like that, right? And whenever he has some wacky idea, he would pick up the phone and like, hey uncle, you know what? I have this, and then they would chat for about 30 minutes, like your how it can be a friend, and he would either approve or reject. And if he approves, then he says, it should be in this direction, etc. And he was not an MBA guy, so I think, and that helped a lot. Two of us when we sit and talk, we always fancy our own ideas, but then I think that in level of external validation or external sounding of someone really helped us as our way. Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, now time for some personal reflections. And I'll not call it rapid fire because I'll still give you some time to think. So કઈ એવી ચીજ છે જે આપને લાગે છે one or let's say one thing which you're very proud of?
In 2014, Singapore was 1 year away from celebrating its 50th year of independence. So the government put out a tender to ask for a set that can be given to every child in Singapore that would allow them to reflect on the past, present and future of Singapore in an activity within the classroom, and would be a gift from Singapore to the youth. So of course, through some context I came to know about the tender. We went for the briefing and everything. We brought this to Lego, and for the Lego group, it was the first time that they ever did anything like this before. Create a specialized Lego set for every child in a country. So for them also it was a unique situation, and we had 3 weeks to do it, to conceptualize it and then to submit the tender. And these guys sit in Denmark and we are sitting here in Singapore, so there's already a 7-hour difference to grapple with. And on top of that, Lego has very strict procedures, for child safety and everything. They take 2 years generally for a set from concept to production. So squeezing that into 3 weeks was quite amazing. So on our part, we ourselves had to work on the curriculum. We were thinking about what are the monuments that we want to put inside this Lego set, and
Concept designing also was your thing as a part of the
because we are the Singapore entity, right? So we have to be the ones that provide that information for them. And I remember this was a little bit of creative problem solving. They said that in a class there should be 3 sets. One that represents the past, one represents the present, one represents the future. And the sets should come in 3 levels of difficulty: one for primary school, one for secondary school, and one for much older students. So as it is, that would come up to around 9 sets if you look at it. So we were wondering, how would you achieve that? Come up with 9 sets in 3 weeks. So we were talking, and suddenly the idea came up: why don't we create one set in which you can create all 9 models? Maybe not all at the same time, but basically you can choose which level. You can take the bricks down, the bricks may be overlapping, but that would be the best way. So that was one of the unique traits of the set. Um, and I remember that it was Asharah, and we were told to come and present the tender during Asharah itself. I went to take Raza. Those I think it was Mufaddal Moula's first Asharah after becoming Dai. So Moula and much for America, make sure you go for the wires. That can't be compromised. You can't miss one day. So when I came here, I made sure I went for the wires over here in Singapore, from Surat to Bombay, Bombay back to Singapore, attend one wires there, present back to Bombay, then a car to Surat. But at the end of the day, Mola ni dua Mubarak si, and we got the tender. And I think it was the biggest thing that we've ever done. And also one of our proudest moments to be able to impact so many children at one go.
एक एवी चीज which you think you could have done differently in this entire journey?
I think sometimes when you have some few successes, you tend to let your guard down. And then you start depending a little too much on your gut. Maybe one should, sometimes sleep over an idea for a couple of days before jumping into something new. So that you have some time to reflect and not think, I've been so good so far. What could possibly happen next? Yeah.
And you're an educator yourself, so of course you have to have your source of constant education, source of knowledge. So how do you keep yourself?
Well, I am very blessed to be staying in Singapore, where the Singapore government is tells everyone to constantly upgrade their skills, and in fact provides us huge subsidies to be able to do that. So it's under a program called Skills Future. So I take advantage of a lot of the courses here. A lot of the courses have to do with marketing and SEO and all of this. But also in the area of education, I've been going for courses like there's one course here called the Advanced Certificate in Learning and Assessment or something like that. So that was a year-long course, and I remember taking it during COVID because there was pretty much a lot of time then. And it was all online, so that's the best time to do everything, right? So I did that course then as well. And of course now learning doesn't have to be formal, right? YouTube is a great source of knowledge. Of course, you have to be very selective about what knowledge, right? But TED Talks are very interesting nowadays. You get to hear from a lot of research that's being done by fantastic people all over the world. I attend many pedagogical conferences. Singapore being an area, being a country where the education system is much respected, so they have very vibrant conferences over here, which we can attend and learn from quite a bit.
And your source of inspiration, motivation. Let's put into a business.
I think first and foremost, it's always Moula. I think, of course, initially when you are young and everything, you think that everything there is to know in the world, but when as Moula speaks, as Moula gives hidayat to you, and with age you understand it better, and you understand that this hidayat may sound very simple, but actually has a lot of depth. And like I said, you just have to attend one Asharah Mubarakah. It's like a 10-day MBA, right? You learn everything you need to know about starting a business. I think that my mom has played a very crucial role in my development of this business, because she's been in education herself, and and she she did all of her studies from her bachelor's to her master's to her MBA to her PhD after having kids. So so we took advantage of her MBA. I take advantage of her MBA as well, and call her anytime I need help. Yes, that's right. Yeah. In education. Yeah. So I get to learn a lot of things from her, and also her knowledge of the industry, because she's working in an MNC. So so she's been an inspiration as well. Yeah.
And one part by talking, I think we touched upon almost sagla parts, but then as a people will question that how come you're talking about startups, entrepreneurship, not talking about capital? Because I'm sure that when you took on this distributorship, all of that also comes with a lot of capital requirements attached. So happy Kivit Nikki.
And it's another huge blessing for us that Aka Moula Tawalla Umrah Sharif has established Qarzan Hasana for Mu'minin all over the world, and it is about people who have been appointed by Aka Moula to legitimately look at your business plan, give their ideas, give their provide their feedback, so that you can take it into account, and they want you to succeed, right? So that is the barakat of Qarzan Hasana. So that was where I received my initial capital from.
Well, interesting. I think we might have crossed the time threshold. I to never keep a track of it. I just let the Wi-Fi blow, but I think subconsciously the brain is giving signal. I think we should formally close this conversation. So to be it. Pleasure talking to you. भाई खनी मज़ा भी बात करी ने घना इंटरेस्टिंग टिप्स आपे शेयर किया जे ऑडियंस उनसे रो मज़ा आउसे लोगों ने भी घनों को जानवा ने मिल से पर्सपेक्टिव मिल से कि किवित ने एक बिजनेस ने स्टार्ट करो स्केल करो ग्रो करो डाइवर्सिफाई करो एंड बैलेंस करो कल्चरल साइड पर्सनल साइड आई एम श्योर लॉट ऑफ पीपल मस्ट हैव ऑलरेडी सीन यू इन दैट jacket of yours somewhere during the mikato that way also a relatable face na pachal no background janwano time will say. So on behalf of Idara Tijarat Rabia, thank you कि आप आया podcast पर, and we wish you all the best. May you grow leaps and bounds, venture into uncharted territories and do wonders.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity to be on your podcast.
Pleasure.